It's Friday night and another busy one in the four states. Tonight, Nevada hosts Mount Vernon in our Game of the Week as two unbeatens try to stay atop the Big 8 standings. Plus, Baxter Springs and Parsons are each 3-0. Tonight, the Lions and Vikings try to get their biggest win of the season. And Joplin hopes to bounce back from last week's loss at Webb City. The Eagles have stiff competition, though, as Nixa comes to town. 30 minutes of highlights from those games and a lot more across the area. It's week 4 of Fox 14 Press Box, and it starts right now.
You're watching Fox 14's Press Box, sponsored by Missouri Southern State University, Matco Builders, Roper Kia, and Kramer's Quality Meats of Grove.
Hey, welcome into Fox 14 Press Box with Brock Baldridge. I'm John Dales. We start tonight's show with the battle of two unbeaten Missouri schools in the Big 8.
Yeah, last week it was Seneca who went on the road and beat Lamar as they try to stay undefeated. And tonight, Mount Vernon does that against Nevada.
Yeah, Mountaineers trying to get their first win over the Tigers in 4 seasons. Nevada's closest game so far, a 34-7 win over McDonald County last week. Mount Vernon coming in, playing a couple closer ones. Mount Vernon gets the ball first, and on the first drive of the game, quarterback Gavin Johnston floats one down the middle. His pass picked off by Bryce Budd. And then Nevada marches straight down the field, and Jack Cheney punches it in. 7-0 Tigers. We'd hear more from him later. 21-7 Nevada. Mount Vernon needing a spark here, and they find one in Calvin Dawson, who tiptoes the sideline on that reception and gets tackled just short of the goal line. Mountaineers would score. They make it 21-14. Right after Nevada gets the ball back, backdoor screen to that man again, Cheney, who bowls over a couple of tacklers and takes it to the house, 70 yards out, 28-14 Nevada. Next drive, Mountaineers trying to respond. Johnston going right back to the well. Dawson, this time in the end zone for a touchdown, made it 28-21 right before the half. Nevada goes on to win, though, 55-34, the final. So Nevada's still unbeaten after last week. Joplin isn't anymore, though.
Yeah, you know, that Big 8 conference getting really interesting now. And, you know, we go from the Big 8 game of the week to the COC game of the week, and the Joplin versus the Nixa Eagles. And, John, feels like whoever wins this game, that will define their season. So let's get right to it. Joplin versus Nixa COC game of the week. We got a real Eagle here tonight. Game between both Eagles, only one team can win. Starting things off in the first quarter, no score. Nate Uber on the play here to Spencer Ward, and he breaks a tackle and goes the distance. 67 yards to the house. Nixa goes up 7-0. Joplin looking to respond now. Next Joplin drive. Hobbs Gooch goes to his tight end Neil Barstow. He takes it down to the 1-yard line. Then the very next play, Quinn Renfro coming off the injury. He will score the touchdown. Joplin ties things up 7-7. Next Nixa possession now, Dylan Ribura will take the handoff and cut through the defense and gets into the end zone for the touchdown to put Nixa back on top. 14-7. Joplin looking to respond again. Late second quarter, same score. Quinn Renfro breaking those tackles, keeps his feet in bounds, and walks in easily for the touchdown. 14-13 game now. Joplin decides to go for two, but Nixa, McCoy Sullivan is there for the stop. Nixa never trailed this game as the Eagles of Nixa go on to beat the Joplin Eagles 35-27. And the Lamar Tigers, you know, they're a part of that Big 8 game of the week last weekend, and this week Lamar goes on the road to face East Newton.
Yeah, East Newton, just 1-3, but the Patriots have fought hard so far this season. Now in Granby, East Newton taking on Lamar. Starting this one out with Trent Torbeck, who's taken down by a militia of Patriots defenders. That defense feisty early on, followed by a gain by Rudy Perez, gets the first down. Torbeck then throws to Perez before he's taken down by River Enlow. Torbeck calls his own number here and pounds into the end zone for the touchdown. 7-0, Lamar leads. Close though, all the way throughout. Will Eichelberger Later on in the game, passes to Eden Enlow for a big Patriots gain. East Newton fans fired up. River Enlow then, later on, decent gain up the middle. Big men in front of him suffocate him on that play. Lamar goes up the middle for a big gain of its own right here. Seems as though it was all Lamar in this one. 28-0, final score.
Staying with the Big 8 Conference, the Aurora Hound Dogs head southeast to play the Hollister Tigers, and they get their second win in a row, 62-7 blowout over Hollister. Aurora back home next week against Marshfield.
Big win for the Hound Dogs. Seneca coming off a huge road win at Lamar last week. Tonight, the Indians return home to face Monette. No surprise. Indians improved to 5-0. They dismantle Monette 56-0. They're at home again next Friday against Reed Spring.
Quite the response by Seneca with a big emotional win last week. Well, on the west side of the Big East Conference, McDonald County is there tonight at home against the Cassville Wildcats. Won the last two regular season matchups. Tonight, McDonald County wins this one to make it 3 in a row, 28-6.
Now we'll go over to the Ozark Islands Conference. El Dorado Springs back at home this week, taking on Butler. The Bulldogs fall 24-0. El Dorado Springs 1-4 on the season, at home again next week against Warsaw.
Rivalry game in an 8-man football. The Liberal Bulldogs travel to play the Eagles of Jasper, and they like to score a lot of points here at 8-man football. That was the case tonight. Liberal wins it big, 84-14 over Jasper. Wow.
My goodness. Running into our first break here on Fox 14 Press Box. Stick with us. We got several Missouri scores. We bring you a battle of unbeatens in Kansas. Parsons at Baxter Springs on homecoming night. That's coming up next.
It all kicks off Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox.
Welcome back to Press Box here on Fox 14. A couple of teams in the southeast Kansas area have made a lot of noise so far in the first 3 weeks of the season, and it's almost of a repeat of what we saw last season. Both Baxter Springs and the Parsons Vikings are 3-0 to begin the season. Last year it was Parsons who beat Baxter Springs in a blowout, but the question now is, will this year be different? Homecoming night for Baxter Springs this evening. There are your king and queen, Peyton Gaines and Libby Qualls. On to the game now. Lions would receive the opening kick, but would fumble the opening snap. Parsons recovers it. They have great field position. First play now. Demarion Washington for Parsons. It's a nice carry and a gain up the middle. Takes it down to the Baxter 15-yard line. A few plays later, here's Washington again. He takes it outside and is untouched for the easy score. Parsons with an up early in this one. Baxter Springs' next possession, Peyton Gaines, homecoming king, trying to go deep, looking for Jacob Grant. But would be tipped away by the Viking defense. That would force them to punt. Vikings sticking to the run game here. Washington again with another very nice carry. Finds the sideline, running past the Baxter Springs defense, taking it inside the Lion 20. Fourth down here, sophomore Jace Curran, 24-yard field goal. Parsons up 10-zip. He'll go on to roll in this one, 59-0, your final here.
Man, Parsons is legit, I'll tell you what. Staying in Kansas, Fort Scott opened the season with a loss at Paola. Bounced back with 2 wins in a row since then, entering a matchup tonight against Pittsburgh, who also enters this contest at 2-1. Pittsburgh hosting Fort Scott for its homecoming game this evening. Both teams putting up points in the first half. Pitt holds a 20-8 lead entering the third. Fort Scott comes out swinging in the second half, though, starting with a 20-yard carry by Chase Heyer. Then Lennox Van going to find Colton Rogers on the screen pass. That sets the Tigers up inside the 20-yard line. Van, again, this time putting the ball over the top. Dub Chipman in the end zone waiting for it. Touchdown, Fort Scott. 2-point conversion makes it 20-16. Pittsburgh responds, though. Pass over the top. Tucker Akins finds Bo Pasture that helps set up a run into the end zone by Wyatt Rink. And the Purple Dragons go on to win this one 32-22.
Well, the Riverton Rams have already tied their season win total from last year. And they're back on their home field for the second straight week. As for the Fredonia Yellow Jackets, they've responded well by winning their last 2 games after not scoring a point in their season opener. So tonight we pick things up in the second half. Rams out to a commanding 22-0 lead. Landon Livingston takes the opposite pitch from Ryder Goodman. Runs it right past the Yellow Jackets defense, finding pay dirt for the score. Riverton firing on all cylinders this evening. Fredonia trying to get something going now on the offensive side. Swing pass here, but Nolan Bushman running for a nice deflection, forcing another punt. Fredonia trying to punt, but the snap went a little bit high, picking up, trying to run for his life. But he is brought down by Cody Wagner and Landon Livingston, setting him up with great field position. Ensuing possession, Ryder Phillips would have his number called again, finding the outside, would go in untouched for another Ram touchdown. Fredonia trying to get a break this evening. Tayson Farr would find his way through the Riverton defense and would make it all the way to the score for the first points of the night. 44 game here, 2-point conversion was good. 38-6 Riverton at that point. Riverton would score on their next possession. Senior kicker Chloe Parker getting a chance to get some kicking duties tonight as the Rams are ramping up. They cruise this evening. They get an easy 57-6 win at home.
Riverton ramping up for sure. Galena against Columbus in an all-CNC battle. Each team looking for a first win of the season and in a defensive battle with kind of a weird-looking final score. 12-8, Columbus gets the win. The Titans are at home again next Friday night. A little bit of a tougher challenge, though, because they're playing against Frontenac.
Speaking of Frontenac, one of the better CNC teams in the conference tonight. Frontenac at Girard. The Raiders go on to get a big win on the road over the Girard Trojans, 26-20. Looks like Girard might have to think about blocking something else for a change.
Yeah, I mean, if they tweeted out the final score, you wouldn't see it, as we know. Humboldt Cubs have stormed through everyone on their season so far. Tonight, they face their toughest test yet against Council Grove. So no score up in the 60s or 70s, but Humboldt stays undefeated. They win 14-7.
Huge rivalry game, the SEK Conference tonight, the Independence Bulldogs versus the Field Kinley Golden Tornadoes. Players get a little more locked in for games like this, John. Rivalry game, mixing it up. Coffeyville gets bragging rights as they go on to beat Independence 35-0.
Big win for the Golden Tornadoes. Chanute, meanwhile, had a big win at Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. They laid an egg last week against Tonganoxie, losing to the Chiftains big. This week, Blue Comets back at home. They bounce back. They take down Ulysses 20-8.
Coming up, must-win game for a couple of COC teams. Which team can turn their season around? Time is starting to run out. Highlights of Neosho and Carthage next.
We bring your dreams to life, one brick at a time.
Fox. Check for the game in your area.
Hey, welcome back to the COC we go. Carthage began the year 0-3, had Tigers fans wondering what's going on. They righted the ship at home last week with a win over Carl Junction. Tonight, Tigers are on the road at Neosho. In Neosho, big day for quarterback Quentin Hughes, who goes over 5,000 career passing yards. First Neosho quarterback to ever do that. Carthage kicking things off with a massive kick return by Noah Norbury, followed by a big run by Landon Collins in the third quarter. Another big run for the Tigers here, Collins again. Then, after that, Brody Carlton, starting quarterback keeper for Carthage, finds a little bit of green grass. Another keeper goes for very minimal gain as Boston Patterson makes the stop. Carlton gets the Tigers right on the brink of the goal line here, though, refusing to go down. And then he'll call his own number one more time into the end zone for a touchdown. Score ends up being 35-21. Carthage wins.
More action here in the COC. The Carl Junction Bulldogs will defend their home field tonight versus the Branson Pirates. In their last two games, Branson has scored a combined 9 points, so both teams are 1-3 on the season. And for Carl Junction, you got to be thinking they might be licking their chops in this one. Carl Junction versus Branson. This was a low-scoring game in the first half. It was tied 7-7 at halftime. Starting off in the second half, Branson going to go for it on the fourth down play. They fool multiple defenders, including the cameraman Luke McCormick. Goes to Tegan Asbury for the score. Branson goes up 13-7 for the touchdown. However, the extra point by the Pirates is no good. They miss it. The game stays to 13-7. Branson leads. Next, Carl Junction possession. Dexter Morrell's going to fumble this football at the bottom of the pile. So Branson gets the turnover. And they will take over on the Bulldogs territory here. Not ideal situation coming out of halftime. Pirates make the most of it as they score a touchdown, and then they make the 2-point conversion to go up 21-7. Bulldogs aren't going down without a fight, though. Dexter Morrell takes a deep shot to Deacon Endicott, makes a great catch. Then on 4th down, gotta have it here. Morrell's gonna take the snap, and he's gonna find some real estate here. Running out of time, he goes to Jackson Wilboken, who makes the catch, but the refs will call it incomplete. You make the call at home. Turnover on downs. Carl Junction takes a tough home loss. They lose to the Branson Pirates 21-7.
Meanwhile, Labette County on the road against Wellington tonight back in Kansas. Long night for the Grizzlies. They lose this one 46-24.
Pioneer League action tonight. The Iola Mustangs face the Anderson County Bulldogs. Iola wins the low-scoring battle 16-6.
Meanwhile, Neodesha on the road tonight against West Franklin. Blue Streaks hot tonight. They win big, 48-14 final score.
In the Tri-Valley League, the Canyon Valley Bullpups versus the Cherryville Chargers. Both teams 2-1 coming into tonight. Canyon Valley gets the 42-6 victory over Cherryvale.
Meanwhile, Uniontown taking on Central Heights. Real tough game for the Eagles. Unable to score any points. Uniontown loses this one to Central Heights 27-0.
Still ahead, the Webb City Cardinals are coming off of a huge COC win over Joplin. Can the Cardinals come back next week and replicate another big performance? Break it all down. Stay tuned. You're on Fox 14.
Lion comes with.
Welcome back into Fox 14 Press Box. One of the teams with the biggest wins a week ago was Webb City, who ended Joplin's perfect season.
Yeah, you know, the Cardinals are back home tonight, the second straight week, playing host, the Ozark Tigers. Webb City versus Ozark, newly named John Roderick Field. Webb City's homecoming game, first drive for the Cardinals on the offense. Marching down the field is Jackson Lucas, who jumps it off to Noah Durman. It's Shifty on his way to the end zone for the score. Webb City's up 7-0 early. Cardinals looking to widen their lead right before the half. Braden McKee passes to Andrew Elwell, who surprisingly makes it all the way to the end zone to make it up to 14-0 at halftime. Second half now, the Tigers are on offense. Peyton Russell passes, it's tipped and it's intercepted by Andrew Young. Not looking good for the Tigers offensively here. Later in the third, Jackson Lucas goes deep and finds the 2023 homecoming king, Drew Vonderhaar. Great baseball player, by the way. Takes it all the way to the house for 65 yards. Cardinals shut out Ozark in this one, winning 38-0. Webb City hits the road next week to face Willard. And Webb City with another big win. You know, they beat Joplin last week and then they beat Ozark. You know, it's kind of tough because you never know, can those teams replicate that same success the next week?
Yeah, and that brings us to Kansas for a meeting of two teams on the opposite end of the spectrum right now, both needing a win badly. 1-2 Erie travels to 0-3 Northeast. Northeast Vikings taking on the Erie Red Devils. It's been a theme all night. Homecoming game again here in Arma. Devils going to get the ball first, but forced to punt after only 5 plays, and Vikings' Tayshawn Gaynor is going to take this return, decent return, 20 yards before going head over heels. Vikings going to take advantage with a run by Braden Young, then a pass to Taven Willard before giving the ball back to Tayshawn, who rumbles all the way down to the 3 before getting pushed out by a couple of Vikings. The Vikings with one last push with the ball in towards the end zone. They get in, scores 8-0 in the first. Devils respond though with a big run of their own. Scoring drive late in the first, touchdown by Seth Welch. Devils then continue to dominate in the second quarter, makes it 40-16 at half. Erie Red Devils go on to win 56-22.
In the Sooner State tonight, Afton versus Ketchum, really low scoring battle. 2-point difference in this one, but it was Ketchum who beats Afton 8-6. Wow.
That really is. That's like a baseball score. Meanwhile, Grove lost a tough game to Wagner last week, but turned things around. They come back to win 45-0.
Wapaw is home tonight against Concord. Long night for Quapaw as Colcord gets the win 46-13 over Quapaw.
Really surprising score. Quapaw has been good so far. Wyandotte trying to stay undefeated. Fairland comes in looking for its first win of the season. This spells blowout, but Wyandotte comes out with a close, hard-fought win, 13-10.
Bears getting things turned around there in Wyandotte. Well, the Miami War Dogs traveled to Oil Country, John, and tonight they played the Cushing Tigers. And, the roads there may be rough. I may have been there a time or two, but it's at the Pipeline Crossroads of the world. And, that's what keeps our vehicles running to provide you all these games here in Oil Country. But anyhow, let's get back to the highlight, or at least the final score is here. Cushing wins it 40-28 over Miami.
Well, now that brings us to the part of the show where we give you the power as the viewers. Get your phone out, get ready to vote. We've got 3 nominees for this week's Performance of the Week. And starting first with Nevada, the Tigers beat a really good Mount Vernon team at home tonight to stay undefeated. Nevada offense just unstoppable. They score 55 points. They win that one 55-34.
Your second option are the Parson Vikings. Vikings go on the road against the Baxter Springs Lions, and they ruin their homecoming night as they stay perfect on the season with a 58-0 win.
That truly was domination. Our third team, another Kansas squad that didn't have much of a problem tonight. The Riverton Rams doubled their win total from a year ago already. They dismantle Fredonia 57-6. Tell you what, a lot of good options there. Not really a bad option.
I was about to say, lots of good Kansas teams and lots of high-scoring matchups. It's always fun to see a lot of points, especially if you're in the stands.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's all the time we have for you in this edition of Fox 14 Press Box. Make sure to vote on Player of the Week. The two of us will be at Pitt State and Missouri Southern for college football tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Definitely can't wait. But until then, we'll see you again here next Friday night.